Welcome to the Couragepreneur Podcast, the podcast for people who want to be more resilient in life and business by developing their courage muscle to live life, love life, and be their absolute best. Now, let's go live to your host, Pix Jonathan.
Hello there, and congratulations, and thank you for tuning in. Pix Jonathan here. So excited to interview the beautiful Shivongai Walker. Hello, how are you, Shivongai?
I am so amazing today. I'm sitting on the Lake of Zurich here, Pix, and it is a fantabulous day. It's summer here. It's a spectacular day, and I'm so excited to speak to you.
Fantastic. And how did we meet? You actually reached out to me on LinkedIn, didn't you? And I was
Oh,
very
yes,
excited.
LinkedIn, the ever-going connector, right? I mean, I always find it curious and exciting, what kinds of people cross our paths, when we connect on LinkedIn. And it has been one of, I think, the strongest contributors to expanding my network, especially geographically. I mean, you're there down under, and I'm
Yes,
in Switzerland. I think,
I'm in the evening, you're in the morning.
yes, 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 very much.
Yeah. And I'm very excited not only to interview you, Shivangai, but to announce that this is the first episode of season 2 of the Couragepreneur podcast. So thank you for being my first guest on session 2, series 2.
Excited and privileged. Thank you, Pix.
Yeah. So for the benefit of our viewers, a little bit about Shivongai is a leadership coach, author, and speaker, passionate about helping women reclaim their voice, visibility, and power. Originally from India, now based in Switzerland, she's the founder of Thrive with Mentoring, one of Switzerland's top women to women mentoring organizations, and the creator of Wonder Women, a global platform that supports high skilled immigrant women thriving through reinvention. Amazing bio, Shivangi. Thank you.
Thank you, Pix.
Shivangi has coached and trained leaders in over 40 countries, partnering with organizations such as Google, Roche, Airbus, and Johnson & Johnson. Known for her ability to cut through the noise and offer deep, actionable insight, she has inspired thousands through her keynotes, including TEDx, Basel, and through her writing and programs. In 2025, she released her debut book, and I love that we're fellow authors, Wonder Woman, How High Skilled Immigrant Women Thrive, which combines personal memoirs with research and powerful stories from across the globe. Shivongai is regularly featured in the media for her work on leadership, reinvention, and the woman's experience. With a blend of strategic clarity, heart-led storytelling, Shivongai's mission is to help purpose-driven women lead visibly and unapologetically on stage, at work, and in life. So thank you again, Shivongai, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Pix, and thanks for that amazing introduction. Thank you.
And I would like to share, and we haven't actually spoken about this previously, but I'm now in Coolangatta, but I used to live in Sydney. And one of my jobs that I had in Sydney was supporting migrant women into employment. And I dealt with a lot of Asians, a lot of Middle Eastern women, and the courage and resilience that those women face in not only migrating, but looking for employment as well was very near and dear and close to my heart.
Wow, that's amazing to know. I didn't know that you did that. Amazing.
Yeah, I helped over 250 migrant women. It was a real honor and privilege to get to know a little bit about their cultures and, yeah, very empowering to help them on their employment journey.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. So we'll dive into our podcast now, Shivangi. So what does courage mean to you?
I love your question. I really think that courage, at least for me, has meant choosing truth over comfort, right? Um, as you know, I speak about speaking and about visibility a lot. And what has been the thread in my career, and I would say my life, is really speaking when silence feels safer, you know. So it's quite interesting how courage manifests in different phases in my life, but also of my coaches. And as you know, I run a women to women mentoring platform, and I get exposed to hundreds of women on a regular basis. And what I've realized is one of the ways courage manifests itself is leaving behind the identity that brought you
Mm.
success to date to become who you really
Who
are,
you can be.
right? So even though
Yes.
courage might seem as if it can be loud or brash, I think for me, courage has often the quiet, consistent refusal to be the version that you were and become the version that you really are. You know, for me, that really is the journey of courage.
Mm, I love that. And sometimes I say about, it's not only climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, it's for the person that's depressed, putting one foot on the floor, getting out of bed. So being brave and doing things that you didn't think you could do. And it is that consistency that you touched on, Shivangi. So true. Thank you so much. What was one time that you were feeling personally less than courageous, Shivangi?
Courage has been sort of a hallmark of my personality. It's a personality, trait almost for me, though I know
Mm-hmm,
it's not a trait, but a behavior and action. But
mm-hmm.
sometimes, despite being considered to be, the one taking the first move, I mean, I have reinvented myself so many times.
I think we all do, but
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, it's quite incredible, right? Like I started by becoming a biomedical engineer, and then I moved to human resources. I started from India, moved to Switzerland, started being a corporate leader, moved to become a nonprofit founder. Started speaking on stages, and now I'm an author. I just feel as if I am reinventing myself. But sometimes I felt as if the less courageous part of me wants to stay in spaces longer than I should have, you know? And
Mhm,
often
mhm,
at the foundation of that is my need to not disappoint other people. You know,
mhm.
even though
People
inside of
pleasing.
me, yeah, well, I don't have too much of people pleasing, but it's just that usually in various spaces, I would create networks and I would create
Mhm,
friendships, right? And when you reinvent yourself, you need to like revise those networks and move on. And of course, some of the
mhm,
friendships I carried along. But once you move in different circles, like for example, when I moved from corporate to then founding my own business or founding a nonprofit, it's completely different circles I move with, right? So it's not fear, I think, but it's really this ability of saying, yes, I'm moving on,
I gotta go.
does not mean that we are not going to be friends, but I need to let go of this reality and this network and
Mhm.
step into another network. And it happens all the time. Like, so I think it becomes more evident when it's geographic, right? So when I moved from India to Switzerland, that's like a massive.
What was the move? Oh, why the move?
The move came almost 25 years back. It's sort of a very known path, to move from the global south to the global north, as I call it.
Mhm,
It's usually in the pursuit of
oh,
better opportunities for
mhm,
education, for
mhm,
work, for development, and possibly also the fact that economic conditions are better, right? So the same amount of
mhm.
work and energy that you might spend as a
Yeah.
professional, it is just rewarded better in the global north than the global south. So I think that was the same reason that I moved. But I mean, more practically, I got married, and my husband had the opportunity to work here, and I came in as into Switzerland, and I came in as a trailing
Mhm.
spouse without realizing all the challenges that trailing spouses face. And I'm one of those fairy tale, stories where I landed a job in the second month of being here. And as you know, I mean, this
Mhm,
topic of Wonder Woman is very close to my heart, of high skilled
mhm.
women, women who are usually at, the top level in their countries and, cities where they were born, and then
In
they
their
come to
careers,
the
yes.
country, and everything is questioned. Their education is questioned, their experience is questioned, their language, their culture,
Mhm,
everything is questioned. um I have not personally gone through it, but now having coached literally, scores of women through this journey, I realized that that was the creation of the Wonder Woman book, the platform, the podcast, because I want to create a different narrative because there is a strong narrative. I mean, you mentioned you have worked with a lot of migrant women. The
Hmm.
stronger narrative I feel is how difficult it is and how challenging it is and how biased the systems are, etc. And I'm not denying any of that. But what I am doing in my book is I have interviewed more than 60 women who, despite all of these
Hmm.
challenges, made it, to the
Have
C,
thrived.
to the important nonprofits, to the
Hmm.
important businesses. So I want to chart a path around, despite all of these challenges, I call it the unholy trinity, right? It is of course your anti-immigration bias. It's your
Hmm.
gender in this case because I'm focusing on women a lot, and it is ethnicity, and all of that sort of combines, and skin color, and all of this
Yes.
diverse things that you bring together, but there is a bias. So every success that a high
There's
skilled
a conscious bias. There's also an
and
unconscious bias.
unconscious bias. Actually, there's more
Mhm.
unconscious bias in a lot of
Yes.
systems than conscious
Yes.
ones. So people don't realize that when these women break through all of those biases and the intersectionality of those, because then they
Hmm.
compound, they really are, at the top of their game, right? And I'm really bringing those narratives to offer the women who are struggling and going through that phase at the moment this ray of hope, right? The light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I try to do also that with my Wonder Woman podcast, not denying that it is challenging,
Hmm.
but saying how do we overcome those challenges and still become more of who we are.
Yeah. So that's been very courageous. Your employment and your career trajectory, changing countries, changing, from corporate to profit, for not for profit. Amazing work that you're doing. So you've segued into the second question of being very courageous. But you said that, when you weren't courageous, it was just doing the basic, consistent things. So thank you so much. So we'll move on to our courage acronym now, Shivangi. So, how do you, and I know the first way we connected, but can you share with our listeners, please, today, how you connect and communicate with people? And it can be either personally or professionally.
So for me, connection is about being fully present. You know, I I've realized that it's so easy to be distracted. And in fact, I'm encountered almost on a daily basis leaders who are distracted, right? The world is noisy. There are so many signals that we keep getting. And we are almost not able to separate signal from noise. When I'm communicating with people and when I'm, yeah, really connecting with people, I listen with intention, right? And I really
Mhm.
try, and I must tell you, this is not easy for me because my brain thinks very, very quickly.
Same, same.
Yes, yes, yes. But I really try not to respond, but to witness, right? So I'm very direct. Um, I try to say everything that I say with kindness and empathy, but I
Hmm.
also give people the the gift, I would say, of candor. That really is the gift, right? And I try to bring that same way to connect in a one-to-one conversation like you and me are having, but also in a one-to-many, be it on stage,
Hmm.
or, when I'm mentoring or coaching, when I'm in a boardroom, when I'm having a strategic decision-making conversation, right? So it's always the same thing, being fully present and listen with intention
Hmm.
and almost slow down my brain a little bit so that it doesn't quickly come and react and respond, but truly witnesses what is happening and then sitting a little bit longer than my natural, let's say, tendency.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
to sit a little bit longer, and also this whole idea of I don't know, because my brain, of course, like I imagine Pix, you have similarities there, would immediately say, "Oh, I know exactly what's happening."
Yes,
And
yes.
what I'm trying to do always to connect and communicate with people is pulling myself back and saying, no, I don't know. I don't know how it is to be this other person and their reality.
Hmm.
I don't know
Hmm.
how it is, their experience. I understand it cognitively, but I don't really know, right?
So,
And,
yeah.
and that
Yeah.
has really helped me to connect and communicate better.
And there's a really good saying that I learned and I heard many years ago: listen to understand, not to respond.
Mm.
And you touched on that about not jumping off and responding. Just stop, think, process. And there's also a big art in communicating in
Very,
silence.
very true.
Yeah. And as we touch base, we connected on LinkedIn. You had the courage to reach out to me, and voila, here we are. So thank you so much. So that's our first letter in our courage acronym. The second letter is obviously O. Having an open heart and an open mind, Shivangi, what does that mean to you?
To me, it means, Pix, that I don't let myself harden from disappointment, that I really stay soft, discerning, willing to still feel and not be jaded and not
Mm-hmm.
say, you know how this is, things are like that. I don't look at the world like that. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, this is a new day. These are new possibilities. And maybe I'm meeting the same person, but this is a new version of that person.
Mm-hmm.
So that for me is really keeping my heart open to possibilities of how, just as I would like to look at, to be looked as someone who's reinventing themselves, who's,
Mm-hmm.
being this flawed but willing person, right? And I want to give the same privilege to everybody who speaks with me. So I really, for me, an open heart is to remain open to the possibilities that
Mm-hmm.
just because a person behaved or, I experienced them on a particular day in one way doesn't mean that it will be a repeat of pattern, that I really
Yeah,
believe
that's so true.
yeah, in the
You
possibility
don't
of
know what their
human.
backstory is, what's going on. It's that prior moment
Yeah.
and that experience. So having that open heart to give them the gift of, like, I guess, a second chance.
Yeah, and almost, I mean, in my world, it's almost like, what we speak about in terms of breathing in meditation. There are innumerable chances, There is always the possibility to reconnect and, speak with each other in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I very rarely have conflicts. And one of the reasons for that is at a young age, I mastered this whole art of what I call crucial conversations. I, in fact, train in that skill. And I think one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that I learned as I train in that skill is, and train others to use that skill, is to keep asking what is in it, not just for me or for you, but for us, right? What is in it for
Mm-hmm.
this relationship?
Synergy, yes.
And then, of course, the context, organization, etc. But that whole us part is, I think, what helps to keep the open heart.
Oh, beautiful. And I love that, like, kind of the power of synergy. 1 + 1 = 3. So not only what's in it for you or what's in it for me, what's in it for us. That
Very
power of connection. Yeah, beautiful. There's about 8 billion people on the planet. Our next letter in our Courage acronym is the letter U. What makes Shivangi uniquely you out of all those 8 billion people on the planet?
You know, I don't want to humble brag because I think that's not a quality I really appreciate. But that question set me thinking, because on one level, I think, like they say, all stories that need to be told have already been told, and probably there is nothing unique about you, and probably there is nothing unique about me because there must be a version of us existing. But
Mm-hmm.
having, leaving that more philosophical thinking aside, uh, I think one of the things that I believe is quite unique in me is that I can hold paradox well, right? I can be fierce and tender. I can be strategic and hands-on, So all of these reinventions that I have done, of walking
Mm-hmm.
between worlds, be it a corporate or nonprofit, East and West, stage and
Yes,
silence,
yes.
all of those paradoxes, I almost feel that I have managed to have skill sets, but also a mindset, which might seem as if they're seeming opposites. They're not really opposites, but they're seeming opposites. They seem
Mm-hmm.
as if they are at two ends of the
Well,
spectrum.
everything begins in the mind. So,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah, yeah. So for
mm,
me, that ability to have that view, which might be diametrically opposite to the view that I want to bring, let's say to a conversation,
mhm.
to a meeting or whatever, that I think is quite unique. And that helps me to connect with very diverse people.
Well, you bang on point there, Shivangi, because that is one of the most unique qualities that any of my guests has shared. that power of paradox,
Mm.
you know, kind of the light, the dark in the one. Yeah, the north, the east. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. So our next letter in our courage acronym is obviously the letter R. So how do you develop real relationships, Shivangi?
I tend to do that, and I hope I'm doing that today, right? And I encourage people to do that, and that is to drop the mask. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
so easy to portray, to posture, to reflect what we think is the person that we want others to see. And it's not even done consciously.
Mm-hmm.
These are quite subconscious, unconscious processes, right? It's like we want to show the person that we want to be rather than being the person we are, right? So I always say drop the mask. People connect to your truth. They do not want to see a perfect version of you. They want to see the messy, the human, the honest version
Yeah.
of you, right? Because that gives them permission. And we've seen this time and again. Which leaders are loved? They're not the perfect ones. The ones who are loved are the ones who are, I mean, as I love that phrase, flawed but willing, right? And I think I tried to really show that part of me, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
the first person to own that I have like a list of flaws, but I'm always willing. I'm always willing to try. I'm always willing to, be another version of myself that would be more
Mm-hmm.
useful to that situation. So yeah,
Yeah.
drop the mask and be yourself.
Yeah. Drop the mask. I love it. And the power of authenticity can never be understated. And even corporates these days, you know, they're getting a lot more traction and client base with sharing their story. Because yes, it's about the numbers. Yes, it's about the bottom line, but it's almost that quadruple bottom line now where you want that heart to heart conversation and that story of things. So dropping the mask allows you to do that. So thank you very much. And
Yeah, in
that's when
today's
you do
divided
develop
world,
those
I think
real
it has become.
relationships.
Sorry, I was just saying that because we are living in such a divided world, I think it has become
Mm-hmm.
even more important, right? Because you can only hide behind numbers, etc., so much. But as human beings, we are hardwired for story. So it's
Mm-hmm.
quite interesting. You can come from such different realities, but as soon as you know the story of the person, we cannot help but relate to them. So
Yes.
it's almost something that is wired into us.
I think everybody wears a invisible sign on their head, MMFMI, make me feel important.
Mm. I like that.
Mm,
I like that. That's a
yeah,
new acronym. Make me feel important. Yeah. So
yeah.
that, I mean, to that is this whole idea of witnessing the other person, right? And making the
Hmm.
other person feel seen. And how do you do that? Only by showing yourself. You cannot, witness another person and hide behind your mask, right? It's a two-way
Yeah, yeah. Unless you're a very good actor, but yes, you will
street.
end up having to drop the mask, that's for sure.
Eventually. I mean, trust me, I do work with some very senior, very accomplished leaders, and a lot of them,
Hmm.
not a lot, but several of them would fall into what is considered to be a pathological condition, and that is called a
Mm,
charming manipulator.
mm,
And these
mm.
people tend to be very, very charming. But why are they manipulative? Because they usually are working in a win-lose kind of attitude.
To a benefit for them, not,
Exactly. The
as you
skills
touched
of
on.
an
Mm,
influencer are not very different, but they
mm.
work in a win-win attitude, right? Like, how
Yes.
can I win and the other? And that really is the big difference, right? And that's something that I also try to bring to my coaches. And sometimes they do this unknowingly, by the way, unknowingly. So, increasing that awareness already is the first step to
Mm.
change.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And our next letter is the letter A. How do you maintain your amazing attitude, Chawange? So positive, so for, always looking forward.
I don't think I aim to be amazing, but I really aim to be aligned, right? What I've
Hmm.
realized is that the more integrated I am in terms of how I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and what I'm saying, if all of these three things are integrated, then
Mm.
the attitude comes out as amazing, right? Because I think as human beings, we have these radars and we can really figure out, I mean, I've
You find your
sit in
passion.
meetings,
Mm.
yeah, and I sit in meetings where I'm like, you're saying all the right words, but I don't believe it. Because sometimes inside you, maybe you just learned to say all the right words, but you didn't really believe that, right? But somebody told you these are
Mm.
the right things to say, in a town hall or in an interview. And my aim is always that, to be completely aligned. And if I am not for something, I think it's still aligned to come out and say, I actually disagree, and you can
Mm.
say that in a kind way, and you can list why you disagree, but people will respect you for that, right? So yeah, it's
Mhm.
it's alignment rather than the amazingness that
Yeah.
I'm always
Well,
aiming.
that's okay because it's still alliteration. It's still A. So I will allow you to have that alignment.
Yes, yes. An aligned attitude. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, fantastic. That's great. Thank you. And, I really appreciate that you're challenging the narrative that I'm talking about. So thank you very much. Having courage to do that
I hope
because
I'm
that
doing
is
it kindly,
authentically
thanks.
So, Shivanga, our next letter is the letter G, and it's all about the concept of gratitude and growing. So, what is one thing you're grateful for today?
Today and every day, I must say I am grateful for the women I have walked with, right? I mean, it started with my mom all those years
Mm.
ago, then my friends and teachers and mentors, co-travelers, but also, I mean, these amazingly radically generous women that bring their mentoring skills to the platform I created, which is
Mhm.
about women to women mentoring, Thrive with Mentoring. There's been literally thousands of women mentors now
Mm.
who are mentoring
Mm.
younger women, you know.
Paying it forward big time.
Yeah,
Mm.
big time. And this is not paid, right? I mean, I run a fully volunteer-led organization. Everybody is a volunteer. People who manage cities in these 10 countries, people who are mentoring, people who are running projects, people who are giving webinars. I'm saying people, but it's all women. So I
Yeah.
think that this community, of radically generous women, as I said, starting with my mom to date. I mean, I'm
Mm.
sitting in an office today with one of my it belongs to one of my coaches, and this amazing woman at the reception, like every 2 hours she's coming in and saying, can I get you a cappuccino? And I'm like,
Oh,
I feel
lovely.
so blessed that women are such nurturers, and they're
We are such nurturers. I mean, some of the gents are, I will admit, but I guess historically that's what we were. The
we
hunter-gatherers
were
were
we
the
were
men,
and
and
I
we were
mean,
the
yeah,
homemakers, the nurturers.
nurturers. And I think, yes, we are in corporates, and yes, I am, I am coaching a lot of alpha male leaders. I mean, that's my reality. At the same time, I feel continuously grateful for all these women in my life. Some of them I have the privilege to call friends over years, but a lot of
Yes.
these women are just strangers to me. and
Mm.
and despite that, I see so much kindness, so much empathy, so much
Yeah.
giving, and as you said, paying it forward, and so
Mhm.
much softness. I think that all of that just makes me, my heart is always full of gratitude. I'm
Yeah.
not so good, but I try to keep a gratitude journal, and I try to notice like the small
Yes.
things
Yes.
rather
Yes.
than the big things, which are so obvious. And often a lot of the small things somehow are related to other women. So I
Um,
think that's what I've noticed. That's a pattern I've
yeah.
noticed.
And you mentioned a gratitude journal. I do have one beside my bed, and I write down three things at least that I'm grateful for each and every night.
Yes,
Mm.
it's a beautiful
And
practice. Yeah,
once you start doing it, you absolutely find more to be grateful for as well. You
very much.
just, that RAS, your reticular activating system, you start looking for things to be grateful for, and then there's more things to be grateful for. And they're not the earth shattering things, they're a simple breath, or that somebody held the door open for me, someone smiled at me, someone sent me a beautiful text. It's those small things, and you just start focusing on that. And what a beautiful gift of literally empowering other women to empower other women as well. And I'm sure you're eternally grateful for that, as they are for you.
It really is a very conducive cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are literally thousands of women who have been impacted by Thrive with Mentoring, by their
Yeah,
mentor.
the ripple effect.
The ripple effect is very strong. I mean, I wouldn't even know where it has all gone afterwards, right? We all
Yeah.
know the women who like formally came on the platform, etc. But we have so many women giving so, so graciously and so
Yes.
generously when they speak about their expertise. I mean, even going on a podcast and being vulnerable and talking about let's say something you and me spoke about it. Recently I had somebody on my podcast who spoke about suicidal ideation,
Mm-hmm.
and saying that you can never out therapy that if you're in a toxic
Mm,
workplace, you just have to leave. Like,
mm,
not just get
mm,
different for therapy. But it's such a courageous thing to do, to go on
mm,
stage. The podcast is probably going to be listened by thousands of people, but suddenly we get permission, right? Because we feel seen. We're like, oh wow, and then something that seems quite challenging then is normalized, right? And what is life but like normalizing things which might make you feel as if you're the odd one out or you're alone.
mm,
And I think
mm.
that's what I'm trying to change with this narrative. I mean, of course, with mentoring, it's a one-on-one relationship, but we have a lot of one-to-many avenues that we are bringing people together, right? We also do peer
Yeah.
mentoring circles, etc. Yeah, so it's a very, very generative journey.
Yeah, and you're just creating such a beautiful community, and not only, in Switzerland, in India, the greater community around the
Yeah.
globe as
No, so
well.
we are
So,
we are in 10 countries now. So a lot
mhm.
of them in Europe. Maybe one day we'll come to Australia.
Oh,
But yeah, Asia, we're in Singapore, and multiple countries in Europe, and going
mhm,
to the US. We started with Atlanta, but we'll go there. But again, we've been to like Nairobi and Tel Aviv, like very, very interesting. It's a very organic community. So I don't say,
mhm.
oh, I have a 5-year strategic plan and that's not
Yeah.
because it's all
Mhm.
volunteer led, right? So wherever there is energy and a group of volunteers can come together,
I
and
think that's why it's so heart-centered and heart-led.
it really is. It really is.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So you're a very high energetic lady like myself, Shivangi. So how do you enjoy life? Our final letter in the courage acronym, E. Enjoy life.
I hear a lot about balance, right? But I must tell you, Pix, I choose belonging over balance. I throw myself at initiatives. And I really believe that something that needs to be done well will require a lot of my energy. And that just means that I need to sacrifice something else, right? So, my definition of enjoying life, unfortunately, even though all the good books will say is about balance, is not about balance. I just throw myself into something, really, really focus on that till I feel as if it has come to a stage where, it can be done more pattern, regulation,
Hmm.
delegated,
Hmm.
etc. And then I throw myself into something else, right? And I must say, I dance very often. I think that helps too.
Lovely. Beautiful. We've spoken about a lot in a short space of time, Shivangi. You've covered things like paradox and how, kind of black versus white,
Yeah, yeah,
left versus right, things like that.
yeah.
And also authenticity, uncovering the mask and that. It's great to have the information for our listeners, but what is one item of courage or one action item that will take courage that you can share with our guests tonight or today?
Hmm.
What would you like them to
I,
take
I,
action on?
I think what I'd love for the listeners to take action on is to listen to the quiet voice, right? The whisper. Because most times courage doesn't roar, it's
Mhm,
this whisper. And I would say if you have the ability, and sometimes with a mentor or coach, but also within yourself, to listen to that, because I really believe that if we take that whisper seriously, it's the beginning of something that we will be eternally,
mhm,
grateful for, right? I mean, give my own example of starting Thrive with Mentoring when I was told, oh, why would a successful woman who is very busy go and mentor a complete stranger? There were enough
mhm,
doubts raised about that idea. Nobody asks this anymore because thousands of women did it, right? But 8 years ago, when I started Thrive, that was a thought. Also, because coaching is a paid profession and all of that, right? And I don't deny any of
mhm,
that. I said, yes, all of that has its own place. And now 20% of Thrive mentors are coaches, right? They give their time pro bono for
mhm,
Thrive, and they still have their professional practice. So
mhm,
I think that I wanted to create something like this. So there was a whisper. And then there were naysayers, and I could have just said, "Oh yeah, maybe this is not going to work," and let that go, right? I didn't let that go.
Mm.
I stayed on with it. So I think that's what we need to do. Listen to that whisper, go out
Listen to the
and take
whisper.
some
Hmm.
action, right? Like move it
Mm.
from a whisper and a thought or even a feeling, and have that action bias. Take a small action. It has to be a
Hmm.
baby step. Sometimes it might
Yeah.
be just an entry in your journal, right? And I really believe a lot in writing practice. If you see that something is occurring to you and recurring to you, and you keep writing it, and then you reflect back on what you wrote, there will be something that emerges from you. I'm convinced about that.
Yes, moving you forward on your journey. And I love that, listening to the whisper,
Yes.
but taking action, because it's better to take imperfect action than perfect inaction. Mm.
So true.
So
So
thank you so much, Shivangi. What's the best way for our listeners to connect with you?
I think the best way is LinkedIn. I happen to have a unique name, Shivangi Valke. So that's if you go and search, and I think it would be in the podcast notes. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I
Hmm.
still go and read most of my messages and try and respond. Not all, I must say, but most of them, because sometimes after an event or something, I get bombarded, and then I lose track of it. But usually, I will go to my LinkedIn every day and respond to messages. So please go and write to me on LinkedIn. As you know, I and Pix connected on LinkedIn, so
Yes, we
it is a
did.
very
Yes.
very important channel for me. And yeah, I mean, I again, if you're a woman, I would always encourage you to join Thrive with Mentoring. Go and register
Mhm.
for a future launch. We might come to your city, become a mentor, become a mentee. Uh,
Coming to a country near you,
and yes, create Thrive with
that
Mentoring.
11th country and onwards.
Yes, very much, very
Yeah.
much.
Well, Shivangi Valke, it's been an absolute privilege and pleasure to interview you tonight. Any last closing comments for our listeners?
Well, choose courage each time, choose courage over fear, choose courage despite the fear. I think for me, that's what I have experienced, right? Fear never goes away. But I think
Yeah.
taking action with
Mhm.
fear is the only way. And
Mm.
and we cannot
And that
hear.
will build your courage muscle.
Yes, build your courage muscle, right? And keep first of all listening to this and telling this to yourself, but also telling, the younger generation, the people that you can
Hmm.
impact, the people that you can mentor, because I think I've seen that a lot, that we pull ourselves back, right? And I think to go ahead and do the next thing that we want to do and we should be doing, it does require to feel the fear and do it anyway.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. Thank you once again, Shivangi. Wishing all our listeners a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thank you for your time. And thank you so much, Shivangi. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Couragepreneur podcast. If you haven't already, please remember to subscribe so you're the first to know each time we publish a new show. Are you ready to live more courageously and be more resilient? And this is something you need help with. We've created a gift just for you. It's the Trilogy of Courage special podcast series. And you can access at pixjonathan.com/podcast series. That's pixjonathan.com/podcast series. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.